Welcome back to It Resolves, where we play a new deck every single day. Today's deck is Bant Soldiers. What is going on, everybody, and welcome back to the channel. Here on It Resolves, we like to have some fun and play different decks as much as possible to learn the format, to learn the cards, and hopefully, again, just have a blast as we are going along. With the new Brothers War set, there's obviously a ton to explore, but today we are going to be talking about Bant Soldiers. This deck is created by Can't Be Countered. I will go ahead and link them down below. Go check out the channel. A little bit smaller, but does some amazing deck building and truthfully just a really good up-and-comer. So please go support Can't Be Countered for, if nothing else, just the simple fact that I think you'll enjoy the content. As far as this deck goes, we did an MTG and chill video on this already. So I will kind of talk through some of the new cards, but I'm probably going to gloss over a few things. I think for now, we just kind of want to jump into the games and kind of talk about it as we go. But it is Bant. We're splashing green, of course, for King Darren. Naturally, one of the best cards for the deck. Other creatures you control get +1/+1. You can sacrifice and give some hexproof, indestructible, and then, of course, just create more soldier tokens. Some new cards, though, that I wanted to talk about, and truthfully, most of the deck is kind of new. Sitting at the top, we have Myrel, Shield of Argive. Hope I'm saying that correctly. 3/4 for 4. During your turn, your opponents can't activate spells or abilities of artifacts, creatures, enchantments. So this is going to shut down some, not all, but some control elements, which is nice. And then whenever it attacks, you create X/1/1 colorless soldier artifact creature tokens, where X is the number of soldiers that you control. So the idea is we're going to continuously be pumping out more and more soldiers. Now, what do we do with those soldiers? Well, obviously attacking in, bolstering them up with the King Darren, of course, is a great option. We do also have Valiant Veteran, and so they're always going to get some extra Lord effects, which is always good. But there are a couple things that we can do with this that I think are even more important. So first and foremost, we've got Sky Strike Officer, another new card, Flying Human Soldier for 2/3, or 4/3, it is a 2/3. When it attacks, you create another soldier artifact creature token, so already helping ourselves out a little bit there, but you can tap 3 untapped soldiers you control to draw a card. You can do that whenever and as many times as you can possibly do it, depending on the number of creatures, obviously, and so there's every possibility that just off of this one card, we can start to refill our hand, and then no matter what the opponent does, we at least have the resources and the tools to continue on. So very, very powerful card here. Siege Veteran is also just kind of a nice one. So whenever another non-token soldier you control dies, you create a 1/1 artifact token in its place. So against sweepers, removal, those kinds of things, this really sets up quite well. It also throws 1/1 counters around, which is always a good thing for us. We do have Harbin Vanguard Aviator as well. So whenever you attack with 5 or more soldiers, you create creatures you control, excuse me, get +1/+1 and flying until the end of the turn. This is just going to guarantee that we can push through as much damage as possible if we go wide enough, which is obviously the goal of the deck. Recruitment Officer, another new card, does a great job of refilling the hand as well. Obviously, most of our deck is 3 mana or less. Not all of it, but most of it. And so this just gives us some opportunity there. Spectrum Sentinel is a nice little kind of interesting card. It's protection for multicolored, so there's some benefit there. But not only that, it also gains life if the opponent plays non-basic lands, which is kind of cool because that just means that, you know, not against every deck, of course, but most decks are running like channel lands, things like that. Those count as non-basic, even if they're a monocolored deck, and so we actually gain usually a point or 2 of life off of this, which doesn't sound like a lot, but in a aggressive matchup or something like that, every life point counts. And so for that reason, I actually really like this card quite a bit. I'm trying to think if there's anything other than that that's like brand new that we probably need to talk about. The other one, Fortified Beachhead, is a nice little card here as well. It is a dual land for us, and we can give our soldiers +1/+1 till the end of the turn with that ability. So I think that's the last big thing, guys. I'm sure we'll find some more things to talk about as we go through. We do have Thalia, we've got Brutal Cathar, some of the usual suspects, but I'm really stoked, guys. This deck is fun. It's really, really good. Let's jump right into the gameplay. All right, guys, and here we are for game number 1. Bit of an odd hand, but I think we will try and keep it here. Little odd from the standpoint of we don't necessarily have like a great strong start, but we will be able to get some things down here, so that's good. I'm actually going to go here, and what we can do is set up a world where we resolute reinforcements at the end of their turn and then King Darren the following turn, which is just really, really good for us to be able to attack in and get a lot of damage very quickly. So let's go ahead and throw this out. It's going to create some 1/1s, nothing too crazy, but again, this is where it starts to come into its own. We get to King Darren, and now we can just attack in for 4 right away. And we do have a 2/3 here to be able to block this. So one thing that we are obviously needing to be aware of at this point is that they will have removal. This looks to be mono black, potentially a zombies deck. Interesting they blocked there. And so this does look to be a world where we are probably going to get hit with a removal spell. It's kind of okay because, again, we've got so many really good things that we can do here. In the later turns of the game. We can go ahead and just sack this just to give these indestructible and get around any kind of, or excuse me, just the token to get around anything like cut down or something along those lines. Not super exciting, but it's worth noting. All right, let's throw you out. Let's see. What's going to be the best option for us? Myrel definitely seems like the best bet from the standpoint of they kind of have to have a removal spell to get around this. So I'm going to go this route and kind of hope that it sticks. And then we can play the veteran and really get further in. If they play a creature, we do have that Brutal Cathar, so we should be able to deal with it. And it looks like that's the case. Excellent. So what we are going to do... Yeah, I'm just going to be very, very aggressive here. This does mean we have to discard a card. I think that's okay. And I actually think it's, as good as that officer is, I actually think it is the officer. Let's get some attacks in here. This is going to give us 4 extra tokens. And knowing that these decks generally run point and shoot removal and then an Invoke Despair, that going wide game plan is so, so crucial for us. And keeping in mind too, we've got a backup Brutal Cathar. So at this point, we are just going max wide. We've got the veteran here that's going to be able to come down and bolster up our board. Feeling okay about this. I am going to go ahead and do this, and then we'll go ahead and swing in here. I think we attack with basically everything. And, you know, if they block, they block. It doesn't really matter. We get 10 2/2s out of this. That's what's so cool about this card. Let me be clear. So obviously they're forced into a position of blocking. They do, let's see, they have to block 4, 5, 6. So that's 12 damage on its own plus this. So they can't double block to be able to live, right? Like they have to spread these blocks out, which is great for us. So we'll see what happens. If they don't block, I think we just win. Okay, they are. So they should be at 2 if I am mathing correctly. Yeah, sick. All right, so basically it's board wipe or bust from the opponent, which they do have 6 mana. Maybe there's a board wipe I'm not aware of. Nope, there is not. Excellent. All right. So they do a little bit of damage here, but they are basically left with nothing. And yeah, that's an easy game. That was beautiful against Mono Black too. That was amazing. Let's jump into a game 2. What's up guys, before we jump into the next game, I just want to remind you that we send out altars every single month to participating Patreon members. Now, please don't feel pressured, of course, but if you are interested in supporting the channel and picking up some awesome altars every single month, you can check out all the details over on our Patreon page at patreon.com/itresolves. This month, to honor some of the most impactful lands we have ever seen in Magic, we have got the Urza Legendary Land Cycle, including Serra's Sanctum, Tolarian Academy, Phyrexian Tower, and Gaia's Cradle. If you're interested in picking these up, they will be available through the month of November and will be sent to you at the end of the month. As always, guys, we really appreciate the support, and thank you so much for watching the videos. I hope you all enjoy the gameplay. All right, guys, here we are for game number 2. And unfortunately, this hand, while looks really strong, is unfortunately a bit slow. So I will send this back as much as I really don't want to. And here, I think we will keep this. Now, the question is, do we keep this Sentinel or do we not? And then how do we want to proceed going forward? I really like all of these cards. This is kind of the trick to this. I'm going to take a bit of a risky move and basically get rid of the turn 2 play here. I don't know that this is going to be correct, I'll just be honest, but I feel like Denick, while very good, is maybe not the best option. And now I'm kind of wishing, from what it looks like, that we actually would have gotten rid of the Sentinel, from the standpoint of this is probably mono black in that scenario, which we seem to be against mono black a lot. In that scenario, the Sentinel is probably at one of its worst places, because obviously they're going to have mostly just basic swamps, which is fine. It's just, you know, obviously not as good. We can go ahead and play the recruitment officer, and then we just pass here. The nice thing for us is, again, we do have a nice spread with Myrel, and then we do have the Brutal Cathar to deal with anything we need to. And so in this scenario, we should be able to spread wide here very quickly if we can keep this on the field. I'm not going to block. Maybe I should, I don't know, but I feel like keeping more things on the battlefield is very good, and yeah, that Graveyard Trespasser is definitely a little scary. So what do we do now is the question. I'm gonna King Darren. The reason I want to do this is because now I'm more apt to trading off against that Graveyard Trespasser, right? And so this gives us the opportunity to potentially do that. So they are going to, okay, sure. Yep. That is fine. So now we kind of need to make a call on how we want to block. I don't love going down to 1 creature, right? Like that's not, or excuse me, 0 creatures technically. That's not where we want to be, but this is like super, super scary. So I am gonna block here. We know they can't play another Graveyard Trespasser this turn. Unfortunately, this double block is gonna hurt, but I think with the Brutal Cathar coming down, we can probably get rid of, okay, that was actually really helpful. Let's do this, and then let's Brutal Cathar. I'm gonna spread out a little bit before we play the shield here. The reason being, this is potentially just gonna eat a removal spell, right? Like they've got a couple cards in hand. I wouldn't be, it's mono black, I wouldn't be surprised if that's what they have, but I actually don't think we block. That was tricky. All right, let's do this. And I think we don't attack once more. We're basically just trying to build up our board, right? So like at this point, all we need to do is keep a couple creatures on the field and then get 1 attack in with the shield. And then if we do that, we start to spread out the board, and then we've just got blockers for days, right? Like then we're in an okay position. It's not necessarily great, but it's definitely okay. This is actually phenomenal because it allows us to attack in here and not have to worry about the double block. And now we've got a bunch more 2/2s. So now it's a race. Now we are trying to get them out of the game very, very quickly here if we can. Thankfully, they are just hitting land after land. I do feel a little bad for them, but not that bad. Let's go ahead and do this. Yeah, we'll take you. Let's go ahead and play it. That's phenomenal. And yeah, I think we just attack with everything. It's a little sketchy, but we do get 7 3/3s, right? So like at this point, we now have blockers for days. So this really allows us to get aggressive. They're obviously gonna have to block a lot here to stay in the game. We've got the win next turn, assuming they don't have anything too crazy. So feeling pretty good, feeling pretty good. Man, there we go, guys. 2 for 2 against mono black. Let's go for one more game. Let's see if we can keep it up. All right, everybody, here we are for our 3rd game, and yeah, this is pretty easy keep, honestly. The question becomes, which of these do we play turn 1? I actually don't think, we've been against mono black every single time, and in that scenario, I think I'd rather have the enforcement officer, but I'll throw the sentinel out. It's got a bigger butt, which is always good, and just in case they're a multicolor deck, this does offer the most potential if you can get it down turn 1 naturally. It looks like they are a multicolor deck, so that's good. Here we can just play Soldier, super, super easy, and I will attack. Now the question becomes, what do we do from here? I think I'm just gonna Resolute Reinforcements. It's not necessarily the most exciting play in the world, but there we go, we got a life. Yeah, oh, it's Urza. Sick. Well, this should be fun. I have not played against Urza yet, so I'm a little worried about what this could entail. Wow, that Brutal Cathar was like right on time, wasn't it? All right, sick. Let's go ahead and get this out of here. Easy, easy. That was such a great draw. I'm assuming they can bounce this, right? Like, it's an Azorius deck. I have to assume they can do something about this, although they didn't that turn. Guys, this deck is the greatest. Can't be countered. You made the best deck in history. That's all this amounts to. We have time for another one. We got plenty of time. Let's go for another game here. Let's see if we can keep it up. Wow, cannot talk. All right, everybody, here we are for game number 4, and this is a phenomenal start, actually. In particular, thanks to that Thalia, we've got quite a number of options here. So let's go ahead, let's drop the Spectrum Sentinel. Again, probably one of the best, if not the best turn 1 play in the deck, for sure. Just seems really, really solid. Okay, so we have to assume they are most likely, we'll say, not a Spells Matters kind of deck. Obviously they're green, and they played a Gallagreators. So I'm assuming that this is not necessarily going to go, like, the Thalia isn't going to be at its best. And so I'm actually going to leave up the reinforcements, and potentially block here, depending on what they do. We've got 2 of these as well. So if they, okay, so they went for a treasure token. That's great. Please attack. Yes, you silly person. Haha. So we'll definitely just kill it with the token, get that Gallagreators out of there. We do not want to be dealing with that. Perfect. All right, so this cannot attack or block at the moment. We're gonna go ahead and swing in. Perfect. And I think we'll just take the opportunity to play the Officer, right? It's not necessarily the best play in the world, but it's certainly not a bad one. And here we go. They've got the big spell. Let's make sure. Destroy target whenever you cast a creature spell. Okay, so one thing this deck does not have, if you didn't know, is quite obviously we do not have any kind of removal in the deck, which isn't obviously great, but it is what it is. And so we get to attack here. We get to create a little soldier. I like that. Let's do this. I know we could have flashed that out. I don't really, I'm not all that concerned about it. Let's do this. And now we could draw 2 cards out of all of this. So that's pretty helpful. We do need a Lord, right? Like, that's pretty important for us. That's going to be terrifying. See what they hide away. This is a pretty big deck to be able to beat right now, by the way. I've seen a lot of mono green decks going around, so this is actually pretty important. Destroy target artifact or enchantment. Okay, so we're going to take the opportunity now to tap these 3 and draw a card. King Darren is not a bad one. I will take it. We'll see if they attack in. I'm kind of curious. Okay. Do we... Oh, it's got trample, so we just take 6. Unfortunately, that does give them the out of getting a land here, but we should be in okay shape. So I'm going to go ahead and just draw another card. Why not? Ganja would have been kind of sick, but honestly, it's not that helpful in this scenario, so I'm not overly concerned about that. Let's show off that King Darren. Let's get you down. All right, let's see. Can this block yet? No, right? They don't have a 7th land. They can kill one thing, but I think we attack in anyway. I just think this is probably the best option. So they're gonna kill that. Do we want to be Ganjo? Kind of, right? That gives this guy trample, which I'm not super stoked about, so I'm gonna do that. And this is a bit ambitious, right? Like, we don't know if we're really gonna make it through this turn, but we do have 17 life. They are down to 3. They are gonna get a hideaway trigger though, which is scary. And if they just play anything, basically any creature spell. Oh, we did it. Guys, we are amazing. 4 undefeated games with Bant Soldiers. That was phenomenal. Guys, let's go ahead and wrap this one up. All right, so first and foremost, we have to show some love to Can't Be Countered for creating this deck list. I will link his channel down below, as well as the deck list over on AetherHub. Guys, this is insane. How powerful is this? I mean, look, if you look at the MTG and Chill video, it was a bit of a mixed bag, right? Like, we won some games, we definitely lost some games, and that's okay. That's probably gonna happen. Anytime you have a larger subset of games, obviously, you're gonna win, you're gonna lose. That's just the nature of it. But we got 4 undefeated in a row games with this deck, 2 of which were against mono black, which is pretty awesome considering how prominent that deck is right now. Additionally, we beat mono green, which I think is one of the up and coming decks with the Brothers War. There's so much support for it, as we played just the other day. You probably saw from that. And so from that standpoint, like, this deck seems really good. The go wide is amazing. I'm very curious to see what other kind of color combinations we can manage with the Soldiers sub theme. Obviously, it got a ton of support. I think it's definitely base white, obviously. But I'm curious what other kinds of colors we can splash in there just to see what we can get up to with that Soldiers list. But overall, this is an amazing starting point. So again, thank you to Can't Be Countered. Thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed this one along with me. Make sure you try this out. Go show some love to Can't Be Countered. And thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.